All right. Hello, everybody. We'll let people trickle in. We are here with 1-6 shooter Trevor, which I would imagine everybody watching knows Trevor. Trevor and I were
I
just,
wouldn't be so sure.
maybe not, maybe not. I don't know.
I don't like to
Trevor
assume.
is what I think a lot of you don't know is the lens behind a lot of the recent photography of toys that you've bought or are on your shelves or are soon to be on your shelves, or in the case of some recently, have had an explosion in the last 2 or 3 days.
Dude, that was awesome. Like, I knew that they were Brutal Realm. I knew that they were going to be like, there was going to be a jump, obviously, the big bad toy store sales and stuff, and people always getting in at the last minute, but that was
Big,
massive.
yeah, because I had them on 2 weeks ago, so from here,
I saw that.
and it was at, I don't know, 30. It went from like 40,
yeah.
44 to 47 that day or something like that. And now it's at 200, I think, today. Or
Is
close
it
to
200 now? Oh my
close
God,
to it.
189.
Yeah, it's at 190.
Wow, nice.
It's the villain is within striking distance now.
The Vaderish looking, Grim Skull. Skull? I think Grim Skull or Grim Sword. Grim Sword.
Yeah.
Grim Sword? Wait. Grim Skull.
Yeah, so we're I'm happy about that. I think they're
I'm very happy, man. I got to tell you, like, I looked at I had the prototypes, and they were, as all prototypes, rough. You know what I mean, and difficult to deal with. Now they've done some prototypes. They've gone and retooled the whole body, and they're showing it off, and they let D take some pictures, and
yeah.
I was able to get some poses out of it that were great, and I knew looking at it that like this is going to be a nice figure, man. This is going to be really nicely constructed. It's just the prototypes fall apart. But from what I've seen now, even the prototypes are so tight and nicely built that they stay together really well. So I'm really looking forward. I hope they allow me to keep going with these and take some pictures.
They'll be at Joe Lanta. That's my net. We start with plugs. That's my next event. Well, I have Dragon Con. next week. Dragon Con doesn't necessarily need any help. They'd say they always get the publicity. That's coming up starting Thursday and goes through Monday.
That's coming around already, man. I feel like I just watched your video on that. Like,
yeah, it's always Labor Day weekend. Labor Day is very early this year. But Dragon Con is not a place where you're going to find a lot of action figures necessarily. But you'll find everything else under the sun.
Is it more gaming or what is it? I mean, I watched your video. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's just pop culture broadly, but it's not
a lot of cosplay and stuff too.
Tons. Right? I mean, like I think winning the Dragon Con Masquerade is that's the cosplay contest you want to win. That is the one. Wow. So people are there's probably hundreds of millions of dollars when you include the hotels changing hands and the bars. I mean, it is a very I think they expect. There was the year before COVID, it got to like 180,000 attendees. Like,
wow, that's like
it's huge. It's Comic-Con huge.
That's approaching SDCC. I was going to say that's approaching SDCC numbers. Wow.
They promote it as the largest fan run convention in the world. It's not corporate run; it's fan run. There is programming across 30 different tracks, 24 hours a day for the whole 5 days. Like it doesn't
24
stop.
24 hours a day.
Yeah, they're required. They're required to have things 24 hours a day. Now, a lot of that in the late night becomes, come to your Yule Ball at Hogwarts. It's all kind of themed parties and raves, and I saw the Cybertronic Spree play at 3 a.m. at Dragon Con. Those kinds of things.
Shit, I'm too old for.
It's gotten to that point. But the thing that makes that con unique is it's not in a convention center. It's in 5 different big hotels in downtown Atlanta. And so you think, think Legions Con, if Legions Con happened in 5 hotels and each of them had their own stuff. But then all the shopping was over in like a convention center. So the shopping is like 5 stories in this, like America's Mart is what it's called. It's where like car trade shows go.
And not a lot of toys? Like what is it? Like is it
in the shopping, tons of art, tons of cosplay stuff.
A lot of anime?
A decent amount of anime. There is a fair amount of video games, but it's tons of handmade music box of
so it gets crafty. Like it's okay. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
lots of stuff.
So a little designer con in there with some
Yep.
pop and okay, gotcha.
And then a lot of
cool.
exhibiting too. So, for instance, like when the Arrowverse was really popular, Warner Brothers would always be there, and they'd have all the suits that were worn, and they're just exhibiting, just that kind of thing, just marketing, exhibiting type of stuff. But it's never. I mean, there's a guy that always has a bunch of 6-scale stuff. But, you're in the 5th floor in downtown Atlanta. Are you going to haul around 4? I've done it. I've done it before. But
I've done it. Yeah, I've done it.
It's not what you're there for. It's a party con too, big time. So there's events going on all night, and the hotels are smart. I think we talked about this at Legions Con last year. I was shocked that hotel didn't have a pop-up bar sitting there at 1 a.m. You would just print money if you had that sitting there. They're all over these hotels. Just little pop-up bars, Jello shots. Fill in the blank, all over the hotels, and then Little Caesars and Papa John's all over the hotel. So it's just people are drunk the whole time. But I got that coming up.
That's what we need at Legions Con. We need some Jello shot, like themed Jello shots. I think.
Oh, I'm sure there's somebody that can help with that. I bet Purple Gang can help with that.
Not just purple ones though. Like green goblin shots or something like that.
TB, what's up, man? We got Purple Gang or Jordan's in the chat. Dave, Rob, what's up, guys? But then we have Joe Lana after that in a couple weeks at the end of September. And they say they'll have those at Brutal Realm will be there. And they're supposed to have those new prototypes there.
Yeah.
They told me I can mess around with them. So I'm excited to see stuff there. Do you have any events that you're attending before Legions Con coming up or New York?
I may go to RetroCon. I'm going to try. I really want to check it out because, I've heard really good things about it. And it's not that far for me. It's about a 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive, depending on traffic. I know some people in the area that I could probably stay with and go back the next day or whatever. So, what I mean is JesseCon. I'm sorry, JesseCon. RetroCon is in just outside Philly or in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
It's just outside Philly. It's like a suburb of Philly, I think, something like that. So hoping to go to that. I will be going to New York Comic Con. I gotta be honest. It's like I go to New York Comic Con to see people, like
hang out.
There's some good vendors there, but I don't know. I don't look to come back. And I got back from San Diego. San Diego is a crazy, 3 or 4 days of just meeting up with people and trying to get exclusives that you want and getting there early enough and being frustrated and then just hanging out and having fun. You know what I mean? So, and paying way too much for everything that you buy.
And you like Darius, it went right to IshCon after that too. So you had quite a long, and I also had the worst of the travel troubles.
Good Lord. I don't even want to think about that anymore. It's put it out of my mind. It was horrible. Yeah. I mean, I really don't want to fly.
Out for a little while.
I am, but like within driving distance, if I can go to RetroCon, I'll go to RetroCon. I mean, New York Comic Con is a train right away, so I'll do all that stuff. Flying, I'm taking a break from for a little while.
Yeah,
I'm going to Japan next year for partially for vacation and partially for Star Wars Celebration. So that's going to be crazy.
Are you going to go to the Nintendo Museum they just announced this week?
Maybe.
Yeah, they just announced it this week. It opens.
I got to balance this with my wife. Now, my wife is somebody who enjoys like Marvel movies and Star Wars movies and sci-fi and pop culture and stuff like that. But she's not to our level. You know what I mean? She'll enjoy the movies.
Yeah.
I think I've gotten her to read Sandman once because I told her it was really good. But now the show's out, so she's watching that. But like in terms of going to a con, she is coming to Legions Con.
Yeah, I heard you say that.
She's coming mainly to see why people want to take selfies with me, or understand like how in the world that I'm have any kind of level of minor popularity within she doesn't understand it. So that'll be interesting. As far as Star Wars Celebration, she's gonna go just out of like, okay, we'll check it out.
That's a cool thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and then probably the second day we'll either spend very little time there or she'll go do something and I'll go there or something. I don't know. But
is it in Tokyo Celebration?
It is in Tokyo, yeah. Just outside of Tokyo, yeah. Well,
that's going to be an event.
It's going to be nuts. The reason I wanted to just go to Tokyo. I've always wanted to go to Japan. and I think it's going to be interesting to see um, the Japanese take on Star Wars. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be interesting to see people cosplaying there.
Yep.
I'm imagining that there's going to be people who are diehard cosplayers who are going to pack up their stuff and travel 14 hours to get there from the United States or wherever. But I imagine the majority of people are going to be fairly local to the area, and I think that's going to be amazing to see.
Yeah.
Just that culture involved in Star Wars. I have no idea what to expect. All I've heard is it's not very popular in Asia, but there is, there are people who love it, so it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I think even just going to a con in another country, I mean, I'm very comfortable at cons these days. I've been to so many, but that would be a unique experience because you kind of, once you get comfortable at a con, you know what to expect based on its size and won't know what to expect at all at something like that.
At all, vendor-wise, I mean, I'm assuming there's going to be, Hasbro's going to be there, but there's going to be a lot of local vendors. I would think, people aren't going to travel.
Yeah. So have you been
to
Japan before? Yeah, me either.
I've never been. So we're doing a vacation.
I've laid over in Narita, but I didn't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I went to Manila and I had to lay over in Narita, but I've never.
Well, you're in the camera space, so I imagine there's some
yes.
there.
Yeah. The parent company is there, so there is certainly opportunity.
Wait, are you a Nikon guy?
Canon.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, I have
look at the time. I gotta go. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't care either. It's all good. Everything's so good now, like camera wise. Like you can't really go wrong. You know what I mean? It's just what you're comfortable with. I think it's what you pick up at first and start playing with and get used to the menu system. And
I'm sure the UI is as meaningful as anything.
Absolutely, that's it at this point. Yeah, it's like picking up a Mac. I got a Mac, and it's like now, oh hey, do you want to switch to PC? Well, no, I know where everything is on the Mac. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to. I thought about switching to Sony a long time ago, and Canon was where I was going to start. Actually, I mean that's where I was going to pick up initially, and I don't know how I got onto Nikon. I really don't. I don't know what it was. No idea.
Well, so with thinking about your wife, that's an interesting thing. So how your wife is curious about why do people want to take a selfie with you. I think that's the big story of what we're going to talk about is, how did that happen? Where did you start collecting? Is this a thing you found as an adult? Is this a thing that's years ago or everything in between? What's the origin?
So the origin is all the stuff that's in. Well, not the real origin, but the real origin of being anal retentive and crazy about it is all in here. These are all my original. This thing is filled with figures. I won't open it up for fear of spilling it. But I had I'm dating myself, but my cousin gave me all the 12-inch G.I. Joe stuff at one point when I was young. But at that point, we had other toys. I mean, action figures, meaning, Fisher-Price little people. These guys right here. Zoop,
Yep.
But Star Wars was really the start of my oh my God, I have to have all of these things, and I have to go to the store and make sure I'm there on the day that they come out and yada yada. So even though I was very little, so that was a thing, and I did it for a while, and then of course like everybody's kind of stories, you grow older, you get into more partying and dating and and hanging out or whatever, and you just put that stuff away. I always liked it. I always kept it. Obviously, I still have the the Darth Vader case here, but it was kind of just put in the closet, and I carted around long boxes of comic books with me to wherever I moved in the within the state. And my wife knew that going into it. I had the comic books. I had some action figures, but it was stuff I put in the closet and, stuff I was hanging on to and probably going to sell at some point or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Star Wars kind of revitalized with The Force Awakens, and Hot Toys started coming out with the original trilogy figures. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get Han and Chewie for the desktop, just have that on the desk. Cool little representation.
So you're talking 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been married for 14 years at that point.
Yeah.
And she had no idea, like, so got these things and like, yeah, this will be fun.
So
And,
you've got
yeah.
your original Star Wars toys and you had comics and such, but you weren't picking things up for quite a while then.
No, nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had friends at work. I work in advertising, or I worked in advertising. I still do. But one guy that I worked with had a lot of Hot Toys. Like, he was collecting Hot Toys at the time, and he had them all in his office on the shelves and stuff, and they look so cool. But I was like looking at these things going, my God, you're paying at the time like $150 for this thing? Like, are you kidding me? Wow, this is crazy. And then, they got to be into approaching the $200 mark. I'm like, wow, this is nuts. And then I got a couple, and I'm like, well, you got to have Luke too, right? I mean, you got to have Luke. He's and you got to have Darth Vader if you have Luke, like, right? And like, well, the droids. I mean, the droids. You got to have the droids.
10 years ago, too, especially. That's probably what's the most common.
Yeah. So, 2 on the desk turned into 8 or 9, turned into 20 or 30, turned into 100, turned into 300, and that was the downfall. So
6 scale first. I mean, clearly your name is 1/6 shooter, but that was it. Like, it was Star Wars Hot Toys, original trilogy stuff that was getting issued then. Yeah, and that.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, and
so
I started.
Yeah,
you could get them. They were you could, as long as you would. I don't even know that you had to pre-order them on Sideshow. Like, they were obtainable in that mid-teens.
Yeah. You could. I mean, I don't even remember the process. Like, I bought them at a local store. Like, probably overpaid for them, but at the time I wasn't like, price scouting or anything like that.
I mean,
I Sideshow, I knew
comics and like those type of stores, like in the city.
Local to me, like, I didn't go to the city. Like, there's actually a comic book store or a toy store that's actually still open near me. I don't go there often because they put stuff up for like, eBay prices, and I'm like, now I'm savvy enough to know, like, I'm not paying that. But at the time, I was like, yeah, hey, you got that Luke and Chewie, or that Han and Chewie? Yeah, I'll buy that from you. So yeah.
That now, that's a unique story because I did a panel, actually. I've done a bunch of panels at Dragon Con over the years, and a number of years ago, probably this would be like 2018, 19, and I did a panel called "Is the Funko Pop the Gateway Drug of Collecting?" And that's primarily what it was. Is how the question posed is, how is it that I've decided I'm going to pay $229.95 for Thor? How did I get here? Like,
exactly.
How did that happen?
I was like, it was like, what was it, like $12.99 for a pop? What am I doing? What happened? Yeah. And where are all the pops? What did I do with them?
And I had, and I still believe there's a number of us that as an adult at least, the first thing we buy is a pop of something because their IP lawyers just have to be tremendous because they have everything.
Oh my God. Everybody. Everyone. Every TV personality, man. Jon Stewart. I mean, like, it's just insane.
I actually bought a pop recently. I don't remember what it was, but like when they had, I like the show Billions. When Bobby Axelrod pop. Yeah, sure, I'll buy that.
Crazy. Yeah. Like, they're so obscure.
Yes.
I saw John Oliver. John Oliver has a pop. Like, what? And the weird thing is, it looked like him. Like, he's just a dude in a suit. And I'm like, how the hell do they do this with these things? Like, they're design-wise, genius, man, because they do with like a little black circle, a little triangle, and a little mouth, and it's like, damn, that looks like him. I don't know how that happens.
Yeah. It's not crazy. To get into things that can lead to heated discussions and comments and chats, but Funko does not get the credit it deserves for the rise of collecting. That they are a major player.
I would agree. Yeah, they get a lot of shit, and I mean, we're allowed to swear, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yep. I've watched the show many times, but okay. Yeah, they get a lot of shit for it, but like, you're right, man. They're definitely just to dip your toe and, hey, I love. What's that? Whatever, Netflix show, Doctor Who. Like, hey, I'm gonna get that Doctor Who. Yeah, Stranger Things. There you go, perfect.
Yep.
I'd love to get that, on my shelf, and it's like, oh, these look so good, and
I listened
NECA
to
makes them too. Maybe I'll pick those up.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, I listened to this. It's a podcast about Hollywood called The Town, and it's Hollywood news, like in business. And they had they were talking about way streaming shows get made, and the term they use is a sweatpants show. Is that everybody's looking for the show where you can see sweatpants of that show in Target? That's the show that they're looking for. Like,
yeah.
That and like sense. When you think about Funko, it's like that is it. Like you get a Funko Pop and you go, oh, cool, Iron Man, that's cool. And then you go, oh, for $7 more at the time, potentially $5 more, I can get this Marvel Legend of Iron Man. Oh, that's cool. What is this? SH Figure Arts? What is this? And at that time they were in Barnes and Nobles, and you'd walk up and it's in the Hall of Honor. And
they look really good.
Growing. And then
those
next thing you know,
glass cases,
$399 for a die-cast Iron Man. Somehow you end up there. But you didn't take that journey. You just went right.
So let's break that down for a minute, because this is interesting stuff. And we've talked about this, like talking about, I think we got to do a psychology show, you and I.
Yeah.
But what, so like you don't have, like my wife blows my mind, because my wife is not a collector of any kind. She likes to work. She's a very hard worker. She's excellent at what she does, but she doesn't really collect anything. Like, I think it's an inherent thing. I think it's a thing in your mind that, like, you start putting one, like the pop, like you get like you said, you get the Iron Man pop, and then you go, oh, it's a Marvel Legend. Oh, I love Iron Man. Let me pick that up. Put them on the shelf together. It's like, I've got a collection here.
Oh, that's cool.
I've got to have 3 of these, because that really is going to balance it out. So I got to get another one, and then it's just it steamrolls, man, and it's like suddenly you're here. You know what I mean? It's maybe not here. Maybe not everybody's here. Maybe more people have control over it than I do. But like I see it. I mean, like I think everybody in our purview is like this. We're at the point now where we're like, I got no room, man. Like, I got no room.
We were at IshCon. I think there are people that have collections that would dwarf even ours that just don't talk about it. At IshCon, one of the artists there told me that they were making a custom piece for someone that has a whole warehouse for their G.I. Joe classified display and has 25 of these things.
Wow.
I'm like, what? How is that not the most viewed video on YouTube? They don't even know. Like, they're not even information out there.
Yeah, that's, to me,
it's something.
There are times when I have to self-evaluate myself, and I'm like, am I a hoarder? Like, I don't think I am, but I look at stuff and I'm like, I am under control. Like, I've set some parameters for myself at this point, because like, I want to go out and buy like figures that I like, but like, is this a property that I really care about? Like I'm looking at my like Mando shelf here. So I've got a Mando shelf of Hot Toys, and I've got Queel, you know what I mean? Like the little Ugnaught dude that, like, was that a significant character in Star Wars history? Queel, like, he was in like 4 episodes and he died, and like, I don't need that on the shelf. Like, what do I need that for? Like, it gets really deep, and like, it's like, well, I gotta complete the collection of Mando. It's like, no, you don't. You didn't really enjoy the show. It wasn't a great show. Looking at the Acolyte, looking at, for me, Ahsoka, I didn't really care for it, and yet I went out and I'm like, oh, I gotta have Chopper and I gotta have Hera. I'm like, do I? No, why can't I just enjoy the show and not have to prove it by having a action figure of it? I don't know.
That's a real question. I mean, that's I think it was so I think we've talked about this in the past, but I had a very, very large 6-scale collection, sold it off a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the realizations, was like, what am I doing? Like, and that's at the time I was trying to be you know what this term means, an MMS completist, completist. And I was only missing like 15.
MMS. That's insane, man. That's crazy.
All of it. I was just getting whatever. Like those early ones that are just trash. I mean, and then I'm like, why am I doing this? I have $250 figures. I've never even seen the property. I don't even know anything.
Yeah. No, yeah.
But I felt like I needed to get them all, And so I sold all of it. That was like an all or none type of proposition at that time.
That's good, man. That's good.
And,
I do that with a lot of custom stuff or things that I know are rare. And when you get into customs in 1/6, like you think, like people are looking at in art now and going, whoa, wait a minute, $500? And that's rooted hair. Rooted hair, like you can pay on the custom market $500 just for the rooted hair. Forget about painting the sculpt. Somebody else is painting it for $250. So you could have a sculpt that's worth about $600-700 for a figure that then you're buying an outfit from a customizer in Korea that costs $400, more than most of the suits that I own. I don't own that many suits at this point, but like $400 for clothing for a doll, and like you've got a $1,200 action figure, but the pursuit of that perfection, and the great, the perfect, it's crazy when you get into that level. And then I have to wean myself. Doggy Dock Design. So I have Spaceballs action figures from Doggy Dock Design, custom figures, right? You can't buy Spaceballs figures. They can't sell them. They're amazing. They're amazing. He just did a big Tom Hanks big, incredible light up keyboard stand. It's got the Zoltar. He does amazing work. I mean, I don't even know what the price of this thing is. Big was a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't need it on my shelf though. Like it wasn't like one of my favorite movies of all time. You know what I mean? Like if it was, maybe I would pick it up, but like I feel myself drawn to it. Like this is the only time you're ever going to get this. It looks incredible, but you don't even really like you said, like I never even watched this property, and yet I have a $250, $300 figure from Hot Toys. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, so I think it's fascinating. So we are, a few years apart, and I have always written it up to my generation, the group that was kids in the 80s, were so heavily marketed to collect them all, collect them all, finish the checklist, collect them all, that I believe that still exists. Like there's an element of that is they were successful. The government changed the laws because they were right. Like that is what was happening. But that's not, you were even older at that time, right? I mean, you were not, you weren't
I missed the Turtles. Like I watched the Turtle, but I was in my early teens, you know what I mean? Like I was in 13, 14 era. Like I come home and watch Batman the Animated Series, like religion, you know what I mean? Like I love that show. But that was an older, audience cooler show. It wasn't like, dude, Scalabunga. Like I was like, He-Man. I like Thundar. It was a little cooler. But like I was in there for toys, but I was just about on the cusp of like jumping out. Like Thundercats, no fucking clues. Silverhawks, I honestly don't think Silverhawks is a real thing. I think somebody made it up. I think it's I think it's like Shazam, like the movie that never existed, So
the Shaq's design.
Shaq. Yeah, exactly.
Do you think that your attraction to 1/6 stuff initially is because you had the 12-inch Joes like early, like as some of your personal ways?
I gotta say, in the late 70s, like action figures like Mego and stuff. I mean, as bad as like the screw wrist thing was, they were generally covered up by a sleeve. Yeah, but they were cool as fuck, man. Like those Star Trek figures and the Planet of the Apes figures. Oh my god, soft goods clothing. They looked really good. Yeah, their weapons were like day glow for some reason. I don't know why, but man, those were cool. I love those things. But yeah, so I mean, I guess 1/6 was kind of like that. I skipped over some of the stuff that later on that was a little more simplistic. Like I never got into He-Man. Like I never thought. I love Brutal Realm because they're almost proportional to a ridiculous degree, but He-Man was always like insanely
Yeah.
weird looking to me. Like I just I didn't buy it.
Yeah, so that is, yeah, I could see you Amigo and 12-inch showed the soft goods because there are certainly people. I think Mr. Eric Miller is one of them that just despise soft goods, just despise.
The man has come around. He has come around to.
I gave him some of Kim's. I was like, I'm still giving you some. You know,
that's right.
You're my friend.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. Thank you for that too, by the way. Yeah, he's come around. He's come around. People come around to them. Like they're. I think you can go a little far. How do I? Like to me, there's some things that like I don't necessarily need in a line. Like Mythic Legions is going, pretty soft goods.
Yeah.
Wild, right? I like the soft goods on the Knights. I had no problem with that plastic chest piece, though. You know what I mean? For those, like in a aesthetic way, being a designer, I'm like about aesthetics. Like I was okay with that. You know what I mean? Like that worked for me with that line. Like Mezco, no, I don't want to see like you put a plastic jacket on.
Right.
Gomez. I need that soft goods, gold right there. Like I need that. So it depends on the line. You know what I mean? Like I think you can go too far with it. I think they've gone far as their. Who knows? I don't want to speak for the Four Horsemen, but I think they've done a good job of balancing it and making it work within the line without going.
Well, if it works, I like a lot of Mezco stuff too, and a thing like I'm looking at the classic Spider-Man right there that needs to be, soft goods fits on a Spider-Man, but the way it's executed in scales like that just don't always look great. It's just because there's just no way to prevent bunching, and you got to make it articulate, and you just can't do that at that size real well.
I have a weird thing with superhero stuff that I love. I have a lot of Marvel Legends, but they're meant to be $25 now figures. I love Mafex. I have not bought, aside from Batman, which I think works for some reason. I don't know. It's a personal thing. I don't like the Spider-Man Mezcos. Not Mayfex, Mezco. I don't like. I bought the Fantastic Four. It looks cool. There's a lot of cool parts, but they look like almost Mego-ish to me. Like they're a little pajama-y, and I don't love it. It doesn't feel like the cartoon, like the comic book.
Yeah.
Which looks like skin tight spandex with no kind of texture pattern or anything on it. It's ridiculous, when you really think about it, but that's the comic book, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's something about plastic that works for me for superheroes. That's all.
I think with Batman, I'm looking at like Cable up there. He looks better than the Wolverine, for instance. And I think it's because there are other things that break up the flow. Like if you look at the Fantastic, it's just one interrupted soft goods piece. Exactly.
Yeah, and like the Jim Lee '90s Cyclops works pretty well because he's got that piece across his chest, and the jacket maybe, which looks great.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it was the John Byrne Cyclops, I'd be like, nah, I'm happy with but even the Marvel Legend, I'm happy with. You know what I mean? At this point.
But all right. So back to 2015, you're getting Star Wars Hot Toys, and at what point do you decide that you're going to start, taking pictures of these things and posting and community participation more than like you've got friends in the office?
Mm-hmm. So I got on a forum which is still around. It's Sideshow Collectors, but it was colloquially known as, that's hard to say, Sideshow Freaks.
Oh, yes.
So it was a big time forum, and that's what sucked me into customs because they had this. Like,
they would always you could get whatever that you could get those codes that would get dropped in there.
Yes, yeah. They would have the codes. Yeah. Yep, all the time. Yeah. But they would have a forum for every figure. Like if there was Star Wars Obi-Wan, like everybody would just be talking about Obi-Wan in that thread, and it was like tearing apart. We need to like shorten the sleeve by a quarter of an inch. It got crazy, right? Like it was nuts. So a lot of people would post, shelfies basically. So I would do that. I would pose them up, put them on the desk, just take a shot, phone, click, and post them up. And then I'm like, I took a couple on just a white background. I'm like, I've been doing Photoshop since, again, dating myself, but like version 2, maybe 1. I'm like, I could put these guys in front of the Millennium Falcon and make it look pretty damn good. So I did that. And so I was like compositing shots of the figures on top of things, not building dios or anything like that. And I felt like, since I did this in a vacuum, or at least in the vacuum of Sideshow Freaks, I had come up with this great new thing, which I've heard from other people at the time, like at that same time, like I thought I came up with toy photography. You know what I mean? Maybe not like as a broad sense, but in terms of action figures.
Sure.
And making it more than just, hey, here's on my shelf, here's the picture of my figure and the way I posed it. Come to find out, I got an Instagram that I was using for, personal photos and things like that. And, found Johnny Sergeant Bananas and a bunch of the OG people back then. And I was like, Jesus, this is a thing. And it's pretty cool. Like, this is cool. Like, and a lot of people at the time there wasn't a lot of Sorry, go ahead.
ACBA was probably up and running at that time, right?
ACBA was totally up and running. Yeah, for sure. Boog was early in that game, and it wasn't a lot of people with like a lot of dios. There were some stuff like that, but there was a lot of outside. Even Johnny was doing this stuff, practical explosions. Blow some shit up behind the figure and have dust come out and have them running. So there was a lot of that stuff. I was like, damn, this is a thing. This is unbelievable. And I think Johnny even had like an article in, like, there was a Wall Street Journal article that, referenced him, which was nuts. I was like, what the fuck is going on here, man? This is crazy. Wow. I'm like, I got to get into this, man. This is cool. And like, this is a way. So I became a graphic designer. I went to school, to art school, design school. I always wanted to do like album covers and things but I really wanted to like direct movies. And I started out, even before that, being a comic book artist. And I wanted to be a comic book artist. I was pretty good at an anatomy, and I was okay at composition at the time, but I was slow as hell. So I knew that like if I went into this, I'd have to speed things up, which isn't my thing. Or I wasn't going to get paid. It was just going to be bad. And it kind of waned after a while when I heard kind of like, and then the whole comic book thing at the time was like really on the downfall. Like after the death of Superman, it was like, nobody was buying comics anymore. It was all built up and it just kind of died. So, I went into graphic design. But in the back of my mind, I always wanted to be that director, that comic book artist. And so now, like, wow, I could take the superheroes and the Star Wars characters that I love and create my own story with them and do whatever the hell I want and make it look pretty damn good and like realistic. And like, that was very appealing to me. So, yeah.
That's interesting. So it's from the story. From the true storytelling side of things.
Yeah, for sure.
We got Hank asking a specific question. I did see those pop up.
Dude, so here's my thing. We're going to do the 1 6-pack sometime this week, and we're going to talk about those things, and I think they're way overpriced because Sideshow doesn't put out. I have the Greedo, the original Greedo, and the Hammerhead back here, and they're Greedo's dated, but those things go for $300 or $500 at this point because you can't get another version of Greedo anywhere. So it's great that they're putting it out, but $280 for a Sideshow figure.
Ooh, I didn't see that's how much they were. Wow,
it's not worth it. Ooh. However, I've already pre-ordered both of them. So.
Pay it in full.
Yeah, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, of course. I'm a sucker, so I have.
I love OT Star Wars, man. I love it.
Do you have every OG Star Wars hot toy?
I probably do. I have a lot of the Sideshow. Like I have the whole Cantina band in 1/6. I have the Jabba the Hutt full size
Yeah.
1/6 setup. I have some of those crappy old Sideshow figures because they're the only version. You know, now they're coming out with new ones, and now the ones I have will be worthless, which is always the problem. I probably have every figure that they've come out with for the OT. The OT. Yeah.
What about, I guess it was like expanded universe? Like, didn't Sideshow have a bunch of different, I don't know if they were clones.
They did the Mythos. They did Mythos Obi-Wan, which they tried to make it look a little like, I think that came out after Ewan McGregor. It was kind of like a youngish Sir Alec. It was cool. And they also did a Mythos Boba Fett, which I don't have. And I've got kind of a semi...
Oh, I know that Mythos Boba Fett.
Yeah, I've got kind of a Boba Fett collection by default, not default, but by accident, I guess. And it's the only one I don't really have of the Boba Fetts. So, I don't know.
Is there a part of your mind that says you have to get it? Like, you have an eBay save?
No, I am at the point, I'm telling you, like, I have done, like, not actual psychology, but psychology was another thing I thought about going into. So I've self-evaluated myself, and I am kind of in control at this point. So I'm good.
That's good. I mean, especially
Boba Fetish. Yeah, that's perfect. Boba Fetish.
Boba Fetish. If you're a 6-scale collector, you have to stay in control. Or I mean, that's that type.
You really do, man.
Real bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. So I sold in November 2020, which, by the way, was the time to sell 6-scale figures. Oof.
Yeah. That's another thing. Yeah. Yep.
It was huge, and it was not the time to sell. Not long after that, but you know, I think it's the things didn't stop coming in during COVID. You know, they just kept coming, and I didn't have time to work. Was just very, very busy for me at that time, and suddenly there's like 14 unopened Hot Toys. I'm like, oh, yeah. You just can't have this. Not with something that costs this much.
William, this is not the OG. This is the 2-pack, but I do have the OG back there. These are better actually than the OG, but I do have an OG as well. He's just hooked up with the web gun, so like I don't want to take him off.
Snow Trooper.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good thing. Like selling at the right time is another thing, man, for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, huge. I mean, you know, there were multiple 4-figure sales. And that was in a Facebook group just with like my YouTube follower, like, you know, just right in a Facebook group, like stream auction. That was not the full market. I mean, it was crazy. Mezco, I sold on my Mezco then too, and that was especially crazy. There were some Mezco pieces. That was right at the beginning of the Gomez.
Yeah.
It was hot. Well, how do you get from? I'm collecting Star Wars 1/6. I've created toy photography, and then I've not created toy photography. To
exactly.
I mean, you're not talking about 1/12 or independent toy lines or Marvel Legends or any of this, and now you know you're 1/6 shooter, but you're arguably at least in a lot of the communities best known as a 1/12 shooter. Yeah,
I know,
and especially like. The 1/12 shooter for a lot of these smaller toy lines or independent toy lines or Kickstarters or like that's a big journey.
Yeah, I love the 1/6 stuff is like that detail. I'll use the term anal retentive type of like it's like, you know, wanting to like as a designer, like just like loving that detail, right?
Sure.
But to shoot, unless you're doing a portrait or something like that or a tight shot, which I did a lot of at first, and it got to be like, this is cool and all, you know what I mean? But it's almost like you're doing like human portraits to some degree, you know what I mean? It's like you could do some great stuff, but like they are within a genre so that like you can't really. I will show you if I can find it. I'll show you some stuff that I broke out of that. But so I started getting Black Series because you could get a whole scene on a table, right, to shoot, and it was basically kind of for photography. Like it really wasn't a matter of wanting to collect them for collectability's sake. I don't think. A little bit of that because I'm, you know, again, it's like, hey, ooh, Luke, another Luke. Hey, Luke, now I got a collection, you know. so there was a little bit of that, but it was also because of the photography standpoint. So I started getting those, a couple Marvel Legends here or there, you know, Star Wars Black Series. And then, you know, new stuff came along. There was some cool, you know, the third party started to trickle in here and there. But I got to say, even before any of that stuff, I started seeing these guys. I completely missed out on the first Kickstarter for Mythic Legions. Like, and I started seeing people shooting knights and some of the birds together, some of the OG, you know, toy photographers. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. There's fantasy figures? Like, for me, like Frazetta, ever since I was, you know, saw that Death Dealer on the Molly Hatchet album, I was like, oh my God, what is this? This is, and D&D, even though I didn't play it, I was like, Gary Gygax, like all the, you know, all the artists, not Gary Gygax is an artist,
2015
but like,
was a gap. There was no fantasy stuff.
Nothing.
The Lord of the Rings stuff. Not even Harry Potter stuff, really. I mean, there was any form of fantasy. It was not being, especially not on 6 scale. It was not being made at that time.
And I missed the Lord of the Rings stuff. Like, I still think it's the greatest trilogy ever, Lord of the Rings, the trilogy. But I wasn't in a collecting mindset at the time.
Yeah.
So I didn't even think about, like, hey, are there toys for this?
Toy biz stuff.
Completely missed it. Although those, while good for their time, you know, a little basic.
Yeah.
Then I started seeing these things, and I was like, whoa, hang on a second. So that really kind of took me down that 1/12th path. Like, they became, I've told the story before, but I got 3 Keltis figures in a in-stock sale accidentally. And I'm like, I opened all 3 of them and shot them immediately. It was my first shot. And I'm like, this is it, man. This is the Harryhausen skeletons. Now we really have the Harryhausen skeleton.
Yeah.
Here, zoop. But I'm like, I'm in. I'm in. This is great. And there's no IP that they're attached to, so nobody's telling me, like, actually Luke wouldn't hold the lightsaber that way. And, like, you know, like, go away. Shut up. It's my world.
You get that in the comment section of photos too. I guess.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's just
didn't bother me, but the idea that you could do anything with it, and I wasn't into the lore at first. I really wasn't even reading it. I was just like, these are my D&D fantasy characters, and I'm going to do with them as I will. And then, of course, I've gotten into the lore, obviously, but like for, you know, business reasons. But even before that, like I was into it. So.
Yeah, when you're talking about the taking the photo with the putting the Millennium Falcon in the Photoshop, I'm just like, that sounds so foreign to me, because, you know, having seen your process a number of times in videos and in person and all that, I'm like, I know that you touch some things up and a little bit and, you know, add some effect maybe in Photoshop. That's not what you do. You often are full ACBA style photography where everything is tangible there. But in 1/6, that is I don't even know. That's a pain in the butt.
It was a lot. And I have to credit ACBA to, like, I'm a mod there, and I'm like, I was always the guy that was like, listen, don't use Photoshop as a word to, as a negative word, you know, like, oh, did you Photoshop this? You can Photoshop stuff. It's a tool. It's like going to the dark room. You know what I mean? Like, where do we take this back to a point where, like, what I'm using isn't like considered, you know, real? You know, do I have to use film? Like, we're all using digital cameras now. Like, that wasn't real either. You know what I mean? There were some film people back in the day when digital cameras came around. They were like, no. You got to go. You got to process. You got to dodge and burn. No, you don't. You know what I mean? You don't. So it's a tool like anything. And I think if anything, I feel like I've made a little mark in ACBA in that respect. Like, I understand, you know, you want to hide the stands. You want to do as much as you can practically. And I try to do that. You know what I mean? I do try to do that. So they've imprinted that on me, but I think I've also passed back a little bit, like, hey, you can make things a little brighter. You can touch up, burn a little bit, or dodge a little bit over here to make it a better picture. Like, you know what I mean? Just make it a better, you know, photo. So,
but a lot of your stuff is quite practical. Even
As
your
much as I
effects.
can, it can be. I don't try to do a lot of. I like the challenge of like trying to figure out. Like I know a lot of people will light paint now, and it is a smart thing to do. Like you can, so you'll take like a light and you can like just like kind of run it on like a 2 second, 3 second exposure down the side of a figure, right? And then you can do it on the other side with a different color.
Oh,
And you can take that into Photoshop and you can put it together where you get like lighting that like how do you achieve that? You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like with a light here and a light here if you've set it up on the table. There's nothing wrong with it. Like I don't say like that's cheating. It's just a different technique. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I try to do it in camera as much as possible, but I'll do that every once in a while. I want to brighten up, an eye or something like that. I'll do a little wave of the light over the face or something like that, and use that in Photoshop as my face layer. You know what I mean? Whatever it, I mean, you do what you got to do to get a
I mean,
good photo.
you also live in the world where you've got time demands too, where you get things, you've got X days to get it done, and you're
That's
sharing
the
with
other
us,
thing. Yeah.
an intern last year that you noticed something had broke or whatever, and it was already in it. You were done. You would put the dial away. You didn't have the figure anymore. You're like, well, I'm going to clean that up.
Yeah. Well, that is that is a definite thing. Like there are times when yeah, like you can see like occasionally like the swords and stuff that I'll get from the prototypes from Horsemen or anybody really because they're resin printed, they're painted, they're sitting in a box that travels to me, and they'll be like I don't want to break this one, but they'll be like that, you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
they'll be stuck like that. So I'll try a heater and I'll try to put it back into shape, but occasionally I'll see it and I'm like, well, I gotta fix that because like it just doesn't look good. So yeah, I mean, knowing Photoshop it's a tool for photographers, man. You, you gotta use it. You gotta use it.
Yep.
It's just modern photography. So
So you find Keltis, you take those photos. How quickly after that is it that you are is the Horseman the first? Is that the first studio that you started doing actual work with? Taking product photography and such.
that's a good question. I think it is. I think officially, and I'm scrolling back in my feed here. I was trying to find that Keltis picture, but yeah, I don't. Trying to think what came first. I believe it was like I did some work for some 1/6 companies. QMX was a company that
Oh,
XO6, who's doing the Star Trek figures now, that was the team that was behind the QMX Star Trek figures. And so I started doing that stuff, but I think that was post Mythic Legions, if the timeline is in my head
QMX, the same
correctly.
company that did Q Figs.
Yeah, they do Q. Well, that's what that was their bread and butter there. So I
Yeah,
mean, I
yeah,
think the 1/6 stuff was just didn't work out for them very well, and so that team took off and started
yeah,
XO6.
yeah.
Um, but I got a feeling that was the first thing I did. Um,
And
if
did
not
you think that just came from
professionally,
Connect, like people seeing your work and hey, we
yeah,
could use some help?
yeah. And then so for Mythic Legions, I mean, I've told this before. I kind of went to them under the guise I was working for a magazine called Exclu Collective, which now at this point I think we should have just called it Toy Photography Monthly or something. But it was kind of to focus on toy photography. It was very beautifully produced magazine from a guy who lives in England. Um, and I went there under the guise of getting an interview with him. So I went to New Jersey Toy Con. I said, "Hey, I want to like interview you guys for the magazine, and I love your products. I take pictures of them, and I showed Eric Treadaway the picture of the orc on the throne, which was
Mhm.
probably one of the fifth or sixth pictures I had taken of them. He's like, "Oh my God, that's you! Like I saw that picture. That's so cool. That's great." And at the time, I mean, like they were still up and coming, and like, I think seeing, these guys are still like, they see pictures not just from me, but like from everybody who are they're just like, "Oh my God, that's so cool."
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like I think, especially Eric has that feeling like he's created these things. He's designed them. He's seen them for so many hours, you know what I mean? And then to see them in a scenario that he could only envision in his head, like, because that's not his thing, so cool to him. It's childlike. It's so cool, man.
You know, similar to, we started the conversation about your wife wanting to know why people want to take pictures, or, you know, I'll be at shows and people come up and talk and, you know, say a lot of nice things. And I think it's the same for him, which is remarkable to me when he's been making these toys for however many years. And both of us are, you know, have things surrounding us that he's sculpted, not just Mythic Legions. And
yeah,
he still is like, oh, it's so cool. You like this thing that you took a cool picture of the thing I made. Wow. I didn't know if anybody would like it. Well, you know that you sold X of them. Like,
I know. It's like you're making a living out of this, man. Now it's like at this point, like, come on. But that's great. I love that wonder. Yeah, it is really cool. Yeah, I guess, you know what? Mythic Legions was like, as I'm looking back on I did some things for company called Big Chief Studios for their Goldfinger. Doctor Who. So I never got my 4th Doctor from them because they went on. They went under 10 and
before. 11. I actually kept those when I sold my 1/6.
So the 4th Doctor is like my doctor. Tom Baker is like, it was like what I grew up with, and they had an autographed version coming out of him. Like they had put one out before that which was marginally good, and then this one was going to be like really good. Sculpt looked really good, and it was going to be autographed. And then they went under. I'm like, okay, I'm never going to get that figure. But I did some work for them.
That was just like last year, right? So that was a figure that
a couple
was
years ago.
Yeah, it was recently.
It was sad. So yeah, I guess I had done some stuff. I had shot some stuff for Mezco. I'll share this with you. I don't know if you want to share this stuff or not, but I went to Mezco. They had seen some stuff I did, and I went to their studio, and they did the right thing with D. Man, honestly, like he's the guy. They at the time they were like, okay, I think the first Wolverine was coming out, and they're like, okay, they put me in the studio in their office. Yeah, it was kind of a closet, and they're like, just shoot it on this gray background, and then we'll put the Photoshop. And they're still kind of doing that, and like every time I see that, I'm like, just let D shoot it, like, and he does a lot of it, but they still do that Photoshop thing. And I'm like, no, like if you want the photographs that I do, I had my laptop computer, so I shot this in front of my laptop computer. I just picked some like carnival background and blurred it out, and they're like, oh, wow, okay. You know, at the time I think they must have changed their mind at some point, but at the time it was like, no, you got to come here, which they're maybe an hour from me. Shoot everything in studio. I'm like, yeah, but I got all the props and everything at my house. Like, they didn't want to send anything through the mail. I guess they were really, worried about prototypes getting out there or something like that. I think at this point with D, like he shoots everything in his studio. He gets everything. So they changed their mind on that, which is good. I'm glad they're doing stuff with him because he's killing it over there.
That's that Joker. That's like 2018. Then I think that's about the time that Joker. Oh, I guess you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, probably. Let's see. Right. 2018. Good memory. April 5th, 2018. Yeah. So that was the one and only thing I ever did. Well, I did a couple of these weird.
The Living Dead dolls.
Living Dead dolls for them as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so then you scroll up, and I had done the Goldfinger stuff, but this is it. This is that first Keltis shot that I ever took for Mythic Legions. I freaking fell in love with him, man.
Now, are you a big fantasy guy growing up then? Like that was,
Yeah. I was like all about, I read the D&D manuals like they were the, like they were the Torah. No. I'm not Jewish, but like I carried them with me, and I couldn't find anybody who knew how to play, and I couldn't really explain it. So like, that's as far as it got, and I just looked at the pictures and loved the artists who did the covers and for the monster manuals and stuff like that. And so that was my gateway into that, like the art thing. And I would pick up Dragon magazine and Dwarf magazine, like look at all those covers by, the Hildebrandt brothers and things like that and all that stuff. So I just love that artwork. So that's been ingrained in me. So yeah, like as soon as there were fantasy figures, I'm like, I'm in, man. Like everything became, and then the Lord of the Rings came out and stuff like that. But I was.
Speaking of, are we playing D&D at Legions Con or what? Like you
I
said,
would
we'll
freaking
talk.
love to. That's the picture I showed Eric, and he was like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah." So
Yeah.
that kind of took off for me. I mean, this is still to this day, 1,200 is pretty good for me. So,
Yeah.
on IG. So yeah, I would love to play D&D, man. Like I'm loving the D&D with Joe
Yeah.
Gonzalez that we're playing. Like I would be into it. Like I gotta think like how much time do we have though? But
Well, we can
somebody
maybe
could do
do it.
a quick
Yeah, a
fight
little
or
mini.
something like that.
Yeah, a little mini campaign or a. So I tell you, I mean, we have.
Do you play?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
We have endless creative people in that community, so I'm sure we have people that
Yeah.
can do it. But my Kim, who makes the soft goods, she will write our campaigns that we play.
Wow.
So she'll do like we adventure to Dragon Con, and it'll all be
Nice.
thematic to the restaurants and all
Nice.
it makes it a lot of fun. And then we have other things, but she likes to write the campaigns in DM. But yeah, I've
Cool.
played forever. I'm a
envy
unique type of person to play D&D with. I like to be chaotic with it.
Oh, you're a chaotic character usually?
Yeah, or just I like to bring chaos to the DM. It's like, okay, so you meet the bartender and he says, oh, well, you take this quest. No, I choose no. We're gonna sit down and have another drink.
The DM's like, son of a bitch, let's go.
You have to say yes. Well, I decide to take my sword out and kill the bartender. Now what happens? No, it's not in the book.
So you're an asshole, is what you're saying. I'm just kidding.
Now, if it was
That's
somebody
funny.
I didn't know real well, I wouldn't be like,
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
when
yeah.
it's for, they know what they're getting themselves. It's my
Yeah, yeah,
sister usually. She
Right.
knows.
Yeah.
And she likes it because it tests her DMing skills. Like, can she figure out a check that I will fail?
Sure.
Then
Yeah.
write it into the story, and it makes it fun.
Yep. I would really my in the back of my mind goal is to DM something someday. I gotta play it enough before. I think I could do it because for my entire young adult life, I just thought about doing this, creating these deep stories, and I never did it. It never happened. So
Is that a live D&D podcast, Josh? I do not.
I watch Critical Role
and there was this is old internet, but back in the Felicia Day, Geek and Sundry, they had some sort of they had the show that was like their D&D characters, but
yes,
they had tabletop. I think they had some D&D campaign that was on there. I used to watch Will Wheaton, maybe.
Will Wheaton, yes.
Yeah, back in the day.
Will Wheaton.
It could be a lot of fun. All right,
Sure.
So you've got orcs, you've met Eric, and how quick is that from this photo to, hey, we'd like to work with you?
Let's see. So the next step was that they invited me to G-Con, which I smartly brought some
Frodo,
printed
just go
photos.
for the Asmus Frodo.
What's that?
Is that or Bilbo? Did you go over Bilbo? I saw Asmus.
Oh yeah. Bilbo. Yeah.
Dude, that figure is so expensive now.
Is it?
It's
not even that good. It's okay, but
Yeah.
it's not even that good.
Yeah, that figure I think is it's not even that good. I mean, I'm thinking it's like $800, $1,000 now.
Oh,
Yeah,
Bilbo,
my
you
sister
might be
wants
going bye because I'm hoping the InArt will do
some of that Asmus stuff, because it feels like maybe they can't make figures anymore, and the InArt stuff is so expensive that some of that Asmus stuff has started to creep up, and it's not. Look, I love my Shadowfax. That horse is beautiful.
It's good. Yeah, that's a good figure. That's one of the. They've gotten better, and I hope that they still can make them. That Gimli. Do you have the Gimli?
Yeah, and that's an old figure.
That is a great. That is one where I'm not even sure InArt can top that. The only thing they could do is maybe likeness a little bit.
Yeah.
But as far as rooted haired, it's pretty damn good, man. They did a great
He's
job.
right there. Yeah, I love it. Get it. Oh, come here, buddy. You've been up on that shelf for a million years. I mean, this figure probably came out I don't know, 2017, something like that.
Yeah. It was. I think it was 1 6-pack. I think one of my shows is. I think it was figure of the year.
Yeah, he's beautiful
for us. It's fantastic.
Well, and the accessories and the soft goods and stuff, they've always been fine. with.
They
You know,
they
some like
do
this.
the metal. You got metal weapons,
Yep. Yep.
which are good and bad depending on the weight of them. But the clothing has always been beautiful. I thought Gimli's clothing could have been a little bit better, but that's the only thing that I think that InArt could improve on is the clothing on Gimli, just the armor and stuff like that. The chainmail. Like I'd love if somebody could do like better chainmail, but that's tough to do. So
But the likenesses on some of those are just really poor. Not as bad as
the
Star
likenesses are not good. Not good.
Do you have any Star Ace Harry Potter? Because that's where you start to get.
Dude, okay. Here's a little Star Ace story because I'm sure they're not watching. Don't anybody tell them this, but like Star Ace, like used to like so one of the guys who was with X06 and QMX used to kind of help them marketing wise, and they would like, hey, can we send you like the bride from Kill Bill to like take some pictures of, and like they sent it to me. I'm like, this thing looks terrible. Like I don't even want to shoot this, like, because it's not gonna look good. Like people are just gonna look at it and go like, that looks nothing like her. You know, regardless of how great the shot is. You know what I mean? It's just that's the first thing people are gonna look at. So after a while, I started telling them like, man, I just don't like. It was free figures. You know what I mean? I'm like, he sent me like the whole Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah.
Travolta set with they had the couch and everything, and like all those props were great because I had a custom of Vincent already, like, and the custom Vincent looked really good. Their Vincent, not so good. So I'm like, yeah, I don't want this, man. Thanks. Like I can't do it.
They're poor. My challenge is the properties that I still collect 6 scale are things that are just at the high end of the list. They're almost all book or Walking Dead comic. Like 3-0 Game of Thrones Walking Dead, they're not awesome, but some of them are really good.
Yeah. No, some
of
the
price point is great on 3-0 stuff.
Some of 3-0 stuff is very good. I will tell you the one star race, if I can find it, I probably already passed it at this point. Figure that was any good that they sent me because it's not something I would have bought. Damn it! Why can't I find it quickly? I'll look for it anyway. Was Audrey Hepburn?
Oh.
In Holly Golightly, and I did a shot. I did a whole shoot with her for the magazine to kind of review it, and then God, it can't be. It's got to be before this. But I did one in the Star Wars Cantina, which was I titled Breakfast at Tatooine, and it's the first thing I ever did that I felt like this could be like art. Like I put it in an art show, and people were like, "Wow, this is really cool. These are action figures." You know, like people who would normally not give a crap about this were like looking at it because they recognized the figure, they recognized the irony of it, they recognized, the funny punness of it, and were kind of intrigued, which I thought was pretty cool. I'll never be able to find it though.
Yeah, I'm looking at my Star Ace Harry Potter. The Dobby's a good figure. Or looks good. The goblins look okay. Do you have do you have the Asmus Gollum Smeagol set?
I do. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
like,
it's good.
I mean, the fact that they went and did a new body for it was great. He's anatomically correct.
Yeah, that's what I say. It is. That was an unexpected bit of sculpting. I'm like,
I was literally filming a review for that, and I'm like, I lifted. I'm like, oh, okay.
That was an intentional choice.
Huh.
Says, how hard is Lego to shoot? I didn't know that you shot Lego.
Dude, Lego is a pain in the ass. Like, I know a little bit something about like Lego photographers now at this point. Like they do a lot of that light painting and they do a lot of post Photoshop stuff because if you try to light it, oh my God, it's a nightmare. That stuff glares and they fall over and they're tiny and you got to get in there with like tweezers and pick up, it's nuts, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Lego was fun for a while. Like I did some stuff. It was cute and I had some fun with it, and for a while there, I was like, I love Lego. I could get into this. This was one of my favorite Lego shots, and this, did pretty well. This was fun.
Cool.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, like just getting all those bouncing lights, because this is all in camera. I didn't really do any light painting or anything like that. So just getting all that to work was like, I may even have a behind the scenes on that one somewhere. But
yeah, I would if anybody is watching that doesn't subscribe to Trevor, you should, because he's live all the time. I don't know, maybe the most live person on YouTube, but he also has a lot of helpful tutorial videos and lighting setups and stuff that I find very helpful. Not that I can execute on them, I try, but I find very helpful.
I want to try and do like more of that stuff, maybe even live, because I find live editing, like editing is a bear, man.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to find that stupid picture. I'm like making everybody dizzy and sick, but I'm still trying to find it. Editing is a pain, man. YouTube it's a lot of work.
You find it.
Thank you very much. Editing is a lot of work. I love doing those videos, like, and I want to do more tutorial videos, but I'm thinking of maybe just doing stuff live and having people ask questions and just kind of go through like some Photoshop techniques and stuff like that, or even live on the table, just showing stuff. Because
Caleb says he saw it already. He must have went past it at some point.
Oh shit! Come on, Caleb, point it out.
Yeah, I mean, because there's popular. I mean, maybe you see it more on Twitch, but it's certainly popular in live streaming where artists just do their piece of art and just have the live stream going. They're not necessarily interacting with the chat as much as they're saying, and now I'm going to do a Bob Ross episode, right? Like, and now I'm going to do this.
Yeah, that's it. And, like thinking about like just putting stuff on the table and showing people how light affects things and stuff. But it is a setup, and it's a setup that's got to be done a day in advance before the live, get it all ready to go. And honestly, at this point, with like the amount of work that I'm doing for not only Four Horsemen, but other people, and the turnaround time of that work, it's almost impossible to like, I can't even get, like, if you look at my feed now, it's all stuff I've done for other companies. Like there's very few shots that like I've done for myself at this point, because it's just, that's the up and down. There it is. Yeah, that's the one. That's a good figure, man. Yeah. They did a good job with her. They really did a good job.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll go back to you've posted the Ort picture and you get to Eric, but so now you work with the Horsemen.
Yep.
Is this what you do to make your money, or do you have an outside day job?
I'm trying to make it what I do to make money. So I went from being a creative director at an ad agency, which was, fine. It was good money.
Don Draper style?
Don Draper-ish, but like more like I was also in coming up with the ideas, but also executing the ideas at the same time. So I wasn't sitting back and having, a cocktail after I sent everybody out of the room to actually do the actual work. So I did that for many, many years. And then a lot of the clients that I had there were like, kind of like liked my style. So like I left, started my own company, and some of the clients followed me. So that was a great way to like, jump off and do your own thing. And I did that for many years. It got to the point where I was like, hiring a few people. I never wanted to get to like agency level.
Yeah.
I just didn't want that kind of like, it's a burden. Like when you're trying to find clients and like turnover is a lot there. They're going to go where they can get, a good price, or they're tired of your ideas, or whatever the case is, you know what I mean? Or who knows? But it's a constant grind to try and get clients. So I never wanted to do that. So I kind of kept clients for a long time. They were happy with me. I could turn things around. And really, like, Four Horsemen was kind of like my first regular photography client. I had done some stuff for eyewear companies. Throughout my advertising career, I'd done photography for products, and things like that, or at least creative directed other photographers doing that kind of stuff with people. So yeah, they were. So getting back to your question, at this point, it is 70 75% maybe of what I do now at this point. With like 25% still hanging in the graphic design, web design. I do, I built websites early on, so it's all WordPress
That's
now.
great.
Like, yeah. So I still do that stuff. I can do that stuff. Honestly, doing a law firm website as opposed to doing like a whole wave of, Mythic Legions or a Figura Obscura photo shoot is it's no brainer. Like it's like so much more fun. So much more fun.
I guess maybe we just skipped this. So has photography itself been something you've done forever and ever, or is that an adult learned skill?
That's a good question. I hated photography. So when I went to school, digital cameras were a thing. I'm not that old, but like they were still like in the 4 megapixel realm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't great. You could get some small, postage stamp prints out of them, postcards or something like that, but they weren't great. So it was still like people were clinging to film, and like the professors that I had were, rooted in that world, and were like, I took photography. I had to take photography as a class, and you go out and fucking shoot cemeteries and all that shit that everybody fucking does for photography class, and get in the room, the dark room, and use those chemicals and have to remember what's what and where it goes where and when to take the tongs and put it into the other thing and dodge and I hated it. I hated every bit of that. Like it didn't do anything for me. Photoshop was out at the time, and wasn't new, but it was fairly new to the curriculum that I was in, and there wasn't a lot of professors that could teach it. I ended up becoming like an assistant teacher in one of the Photoshop classes because this is where we're doing this stuff. Like from now on, fuck the dark room. So I hated photography. I hated it. So it's ironic that this is what I'm doing at this point, but so no, to answer your question, not from the beginning that I want to do photography. Kind of came as a need in advertising that like, hey, we don't have a professional photography budget. We just need a picture of this product to put in, clip away and put it in another scene or something like that. So I would do that in the back room and just, light it up and whatever. So so this has been a learning experience from the beginning. And if you go back, we've I'm not going to scroll back, but you've seen some of the stuff that I did early on, and it was not great. It wasn't great. But you dive into something and you love it and you learn about it. And I would suggest anybody look into other types of photography, not just toy photography, to learn about photography, because it all stems from the basics, right? Everything like that stems from the basics.
Yeah, I think my sister does a lot of just nature photography and macro stuff.
That's a whole thing.
Yeah. It's like you just learn how to do that. It's, I guess another tool in the toolkit. That is interesting. So, this is a thing that you've learned in the, in the last, 15, 20 years, I guess, more than, something that's just innate in you. That is interesting. Okay. And 70% of your, of the way you pay your bills is not nothing. That's
right. That's right. And I don't do like it's not something that I'm like, hey, I want to go out and shoot nature, or, that's like a discipline unto itself. Like that is a thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have the urge to go outside and take pictures everywhere. I'm not. I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing for a lot of photographers. Like they want to try to hey, I want to do portraits now, and then hey, I want to go out and do like Ansel Adams landscapes, or I want to do, real deep portraits, or macro photography, like you said. Like I don't know. I played with that stuff early on, but like nothing stuck with me. It's just this is the genre that I want to do this in, and
it just from this conversation, it started with. I wanted to tell stories. That's what you wanted to do.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And that's, it's been insightful and interesting because right here I've got a lot of your portraits, prints that you have a thing, and they're all story driven. The the different things, like the my wife is going to kill me guy sitting around the table, like all these different things that are all a story. Like you can tell, I think that Blue Hagnon is gorgeous, and it's tells a big story. Like that picture tells a story. I think
mouse pads this year.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Legions Con. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, like, I think it was a combination of wanting to be, and then looking back at the fantasy art that I liked growing up and not realizing that, oh, that's telling a story in a painting or a picture as well. You know what I mean? Like, that is not just like cool cover art for something like that. That's really, there's storytelling in there. And that's why I dove into it and like really like, cling to it. So that's really become my focus, like that kind of like that look and feel. I experimented a lot. I do want to experiment some more. I feel like I do, though, to some degree. I don't know. It's you get into a groove and you get a style, I think. Like a lot of people don't feel like they have a style. And I will tell them, like, there are some people that I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm like, no, dude, you have a style. Like, I can see your photo in toy photography and, like, know that it's you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, whether you know it or not, you're doing similar things. You're setting up lighting similar ways. You're posing. You're compositing or composing things the similar way. And it gets to a point where it's tough to break out of that. I do want to break out of that a little bit.
I think it's. I mean, like your co-host on Monday. Whenever one of Nate's photos comes through my feed, I can tell it's his. I can almost always tell.
Nate has a total style. Yeah. Like that's another like I'm not sure Nate. Maybe he does at this point, but I remember we talked about this, that he didn't feel like he had a style. And I'm like, no, you have a style, man. Like you totally have style. I'm gonna go to Nate. I don't know what I'm looking up here, but oh no, you want to see something?
No, I was just saying.
Okay,
yeah. I just saw you were moving things.
Yeah, I can tell Nate's style at this point. Like this, I saw this immediately. I didn't even have to look at the name. I'm like, that's Nate. It's fantastic. Yeah,
I like his stuff.
And he's there too, like in terms of storytelling and stuff like that. Like I love that kind of stuff.
Being
such an amazing thing
that tries and has such an interest in this, and the amount of work that goes into a setup. I'm fortunate to be friends with a lot of you guys and get some behind the scenes. And like there was something that D was shooting recently, and he was showing me like what he had set up, and I'm like, that is so much stuff that is set up for this one picture.
Yeah. People don't know, man. Like there's a lot. I'm looking at. I can't show you what I'm looking at on my table right now, but like you're gonna love it. But it's a lot of stuff there, and it's held together. There's clips and things holding things up, and tape, and it's nuts.
We were on the phone. He had sent me the picture, and then I heard something fall. He goes, "All right, I gotta go. This is gonna take me a little while."
yeah. It's crazy. I gotta like. I know it's like something that people want to like. I think about this all the time. Like, I hate to give Stephen Bisciotti like credit, but like, am I gonna give him credit? I'm not gonna give him credit. I'm just gonna give him. I don't know what it is, but. Like I want to do I like custom. I could paint fairly well. Like I've painted some stuff. It's like I'm an artistic. Like it's innate, right? I painted some things in the past, models and things like that. So I can do it. I just don't have time to do it. You know what I mean? And I look at all the stuff that people are coming out with, and I'm like, damn it! I want to customize more. I want to do more. Maybe I should sell some heads. At Legions Con, I would love to have like some heads to sell. I did that a couple of years ago, but it's like 4. You know what I mean? I have 4 of them. But it is kind of like a.
It is kind of.
I hate to say,
but they weren't for sale, right?
Right? No. No, that's the problem. Like I spend so much time in customizing. I'm like, I can't sell this. I want to keep this. I love this thing.
Yeah.
But it is kind of a. I don't think you should stay in your lane. I think you should play in other lanes, but I don't think you should expect to be as good at other people. Like you have a lane,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And like that is your thing. And like you can veer off and visit customizing
Right.
and visit, some 3D printing over here or whatever. But like that's not your
Yeah, everyone
thing.
is
You're not an
allowed.
expert. You're going to have a lot of
Yeah.
problems with 3D printing. You're going to have not a lot of time for customizing. You're not going to be like, one of the top customizers because I just don't have time to do it. I would love to do that, but I wouldn't be doing photography if I did that stuff. So
He does, William. You can get them at
I do.
his Etsy store. You can get them at Legion's Con, but
Yep.
you have an Etsy store too.
Yep.
Yeah,
For sure.
that's
New stuff.
I don't know. Is that blue? Is the blue Hagnon one in there yet? Is that in that?
The blue Hagnon is a metallic print that I just
Yeah,
had.
yeah,
I just got in the other day. I got that. I got some of the Jacob Marley stuff, which I think looks really good in metallics. Like I think it's something you could put up at Christmas. That's the other thing. Like I think with the prints, it's a lot of people. I'm also I'm trying out some mini prints because I think the other thing is that people don't have a lot of space.
Yeah.
Obviously, we talked about that. I've got so many posters and stuff that I bought from like Mondo and all these other beautiful stuff. Lord of the Rings, huge 24-36.
Yeah.
I don't have any wall space, man. Like I don't have any of this stuff. So I understand like people look at it and go, I would love to have that. I don't have any place to put it. So maybe if it's like Christmas themed or something like that, you put it up on the mantle. Your wife approves of it because it's kind of Christmassy and like you're good to go.
Well, what we've done with because we all like to pick up art, and I have a lot of original art. But I also have quite a you get prints. That's kind of your first taste. But we want to be able to support artists at cons. That's one of my favorite things to do is support people that are just making work. We ran out of wall space, but we bought portfolio books. You can get portfolio books on Amazon, 11/17, or whatever. And I wondered if here and there I have seen artists that will sell a portfolio book that they make that has 20 of their prints in a whatever for 8x10 book. That isn't like a published book necessarily. It's more like a portfolio book that probably got pretty cheap so that people could have it. I was like, there's got to be, and they make, I've got a buddy that has a Patreon and he, you get a commission from him every month, but he also does a postcard series and they're little 5x7 postcards. So I just have a little 5x7 portfolio book. I put them all in, tells a story.
That's what I'm kind of thinking of, like the calendar for me has been that kind of thing. Like, because people will say, like, "Hey, I'm not throwing this out just because it was last year's." So some people have told me they'll cut out the photos and put them in a frame or put them in a file or whatever. Like, just pull them out. Like, they don't want to get rid of the calendar, even though it's useless at this point, except for maybe in 15, 20 years. I guess we'll go back to it. I never looked at that. I don't think anybody's doing that.
I've still got mine in the tub. It just moves to the tub of stuff that I don't know what to do with.
But it's kind of a mini print for $20. You've got 12 prints. You know what I mean? Like they're pretty good. Like they look really good. They're maybe not metallic or like framed.
Oh, it's great,
nicely,
and it's fun. It's become a thing every month, right? To turn the calendar and see. I wondered because that really has this year especially become a. People posting about changing the calendar to the new month.
I love that.
If you were going to do a calendar that is a story, like through the calendar, where
that would be interesting.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a neat. It's certainly work, right? But
that would be interesting.
Yeah, you try.
I feel like when you look at the I wouldn't want to like repeat. Listen, I use stuff that I've done, right? Like, but this is kind of to me. A little bit of a story, you know what I mean? Like you have to read the story to go along with it, but maybe not that one, but like the rest of them. And I love doing that. That's kind of interesting, man. I give that some thought. The problem is getting again time to do my own stuff.
Yeah.
Coupled with the amount of stuff that I'm doing for these guys.
I tell you, you could also do this. This is someone that
seeing my family occasionally, which was nice.
Everybody has ideas. It doesn't have to make it happen, but you could all. This is probably next year, but you could sell at Legion's Con some sort of Advent thing. That is, each day you get a new little picture, and I think that would be a cool thing.
That would be interesting. We got to talk.
It's what you do that's so good. I think that's because everybody likes your photos, and then there's the one. in every way. For people are like, oh, he went at it at this one. Like, and you
You know what
probably
we
know
should do?
going in what those are
You know
going
what I
to be.
should do? We should do an advent calendar where there's photos, and then you open it up, looks like an advent calendar, and inside is a Wolf King Customs
Yeah,
sculpt
yeah.
for
Hey,
for $100. You're
yeah.
gonna get like 12, or what is that? An advent calendar is like for Christmas, right? So that's like 25
It's
days.
24 potentially 24.
24
Or
sculpts. Good Lord. That's going to be a
25
lot of money.
potentially. Yeah, it would be expensive. But you could do. I mean, like Brian Burke did the like the 5 days.
Yeah.
You could do the last.
Could be a piece of candy and then a sculpt over here somewhere.
Yeah, I just think it would be.
That'd be cool.
I would buy it. I know I would buy, and I know there are a lot of people that would buy that. I think your notoriety. I'm excited to see your wife be like, oh, well, look at this. How about this? This is
well.
quite.
I think so here's the thing. When the book comes out, I mean, I think that's a tangible thing. I did actually sit her down. We had a friend of ours over and watched the Havalkatar. Was it the Havalkatar? No, it wasn't.
No, the Agbendor.
It was the Agbendor wave reveal, because she'd never seen that. Like, I just do the things. They're on the computer sometimes. She knows I'm in the basement. And then it's like, occasionally there's a figure that'll be sitting on my desk, and that's it. Like, that's all she really knows. I feel it's like I am the meme of Taika Waititi and Kate Blanchett.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen that? Yeah, that is me. That is me. Me showing my high-powered executive wife the Lego set that I want to buy. You know what I mean? Like, that's me. Like, this is the toy picture I took today. It's cool, and people are like, "Fuck, that's cool." But like, she's like, it's really nice. That's great. I made $1.2 million today. Like, okay. For the company, whatever. But like she watched it. She was like, "Wow, this is pretty cool." I mean, like, Jeremy was saying some nice things about the photos, and Eric was saying some nice things about the photos. And like, yeah, this is what it's like. This is what I'm doing. So that was kind of cool. And I think when the tabletop book comes out, with the story and stuff like that, I think, it might have an impact. My whole thing is like, I have a book from the guy who took Kim. Jesus, I'm forgetting his name. Kim Simmons, who did all the Star Wars photography for all the boxes that we had from Kenner over the years. He did all that photography, and so cool to see like the behind the scenes. Like, I'm like, if someday when I'm like in my 70s and somebody invites me to a con to talk about like photographing legions, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, that's it. I'm good. That's my legacy. I made it. I'm happy. Well,
you certainly sell toys too. I mean, there is no doubt that there are photos you've had that have sold toys more than they otherwise would have.
I forward those comments to every company that I work for all the time. I wasn't going to buy this figure, but I saw that photo, and I'm like, yeah. Cool.
Save to downloads there. Let me keep that for later. Yep. So after Horseman, when does Horseman start properly? What year is that? We diverted.
I was just down there, and now I lost it. I would say it started. What was the first wave I did for them? It was after Arethyr, because I missed Arethyr. Arethyr was the one that I went to the G-Con for, and that was where we talked about stuff. And they're like, we are not, as they've said before, we are not good at this. This is not our forte. Our photographs are terrible, and we need you. And then this is when they were talking about Jeremy. It's like, our website is terrible. We need somebody to help with the website. So and Joe Vassapolo was there as a customizer and a guest, and Joe Vassapolo is now, so all that stuff came from that one Arethyr G-Con. Pretty amazing. I would say properly
21-ish then, probably.
I started taking pictures for the website. Couldn't have been Cosmic. Was the Cosmic the first one?
Well, I guess if you were at a G-Con, it either had to be 2019 G-Con or 2021 G-Con, because it wasn't 2020 G-Con.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the first wave I did.
Ilithia, I guess. There was
Alithia. No, there was something before Alithia. I'm looking, and I'm looking at my page, but it's not. That's not representative of what I've done for them. It was just before Alithia, like one of the waves before Alithia,
like an all-star wave or whatever.
Yeah.
Sitting there.
Alithia was a big one though. So yeah, what was that? What year was that?
2019? I think it's 21. I think it's in that area.
21. Okay.
21.
So it was probably 2020, 2021 that I started doing stuff. Yeah.
And then how does that become Brutal Realm, or I mean, what companies do you take photos for that is public now that you can talk about?
So again, I was doing some 1/6 stuff, but you don't have to go to this. I'm just spinning around, trying to refresh my memory. But I was doing some 1/6 stuff. After Mythic Legions, I think probably one of the first other companies that came to me was AWOC, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. Mm-hmm. I think. I did Hasbro. Hasbro will throw things out to the community, so I'd done some stuff for Hasbro. I don't really count that as work. Even they paid for it, but whatever. Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, and then more and more people start saying. So like when Fox Forge Toys, I did some stuff for those guys. And I've done some like vinyl stuff. I'll see if I can find that because that's kind of interesting. So a Strange Cat Toys, who I actually have something I have to do for them as well this weekend at some point. Well, the weekend's over, so I guess I'm not doing it this weekend. I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, stuff like I can't find it. But anyway, AWOC, and then after that, Fox Forge Toys. Frazetta Girls was like out of the blue, and like that is like anybody who knows me is like Frazetta, like it's it, like that's it. Like I love Frazetta, and to be able to have anything to do with the world of Frazetta was like huge for me. I love everything else that I'm doing. Like Mythic Legions is my jam, but just to be associated with that brand was like a dream come true. It was pretty cool. So I did stuff for them, and then I think that's kind of why Brutal Realms kind of came to me and like started talking to me because it's barbarians, right? It's like it's big beefy dudes. Yeah, this is some of the vinyl toy stuff. This stuff is crazy, man.
Is that like the designer vinyl, like that world
designer vinyl? Yeah, yes. Absolutely.
That is a crazy world of collecting too. That's not cheap.
Dude, I had no idea. Like this is like that top part moves. I think maybe a couple of the segments move, but they're vinyl toys that are like basically like kind of a kid's toy, but like super detailed and beautifully painted. 150, 180, like
super limited.
What? Like what?
Yeah.
So this is for like Casey Weldon, who does a lot of cat stuff, and this is like a kind of a Cheshire Cat type of thing, and then this is
oh wow,
KMNDZ, who does stuff with the House of Blues. Like he does these paintings with these crows. He even commented on it. He was like, dude, this is so cool. Beautiful. I'm like, that's great. Melting cat ice cream cones. So a company asked me to do some stuff like this, and then I've been doing. Oh, that's not it, but like this little toy that was like kind of a Mac, little anthropomorphic Mac thing, and Steve Jobs and he watching movies. So it's been fun, man. Like that, it's fun. It's a challenge. But yeah, I mean, so
it's word of mouth.
Five or six companies. It's kind of like people see things and they go and they look at it and they either like, wow, this is like selling some toys, or wow, I just identify with this and I love the style or whatever, and it fits what I want to do. I don't know, but it's been good. I haven't really had to seek out anybody. Like I haven't really since Mythic Legions.
Yeah.
Approached anybody in terms of, well, maybe that's not quite true, but I try to market it a little bit, but I'm busy enough where I'm like, I'm not really like looking for too many more people.
So aside from the photography, you still seem to primarily collect the 6 scale and then Legions. And then, I mean, are you, if you work on a line, do you have is there something in your mind that says I need to be buying all of these, type of mentality?
You get into it, and like I love AWOC. AWOC's a cool line. Like I need more room for them. I've had them on a shelf over there, and thankfully, so far, until this next wave comes out, there's not too many of them.
Yeah.
But there will be more. Same with Brutal Realm, Foxforge Toys. Oh, I just did the Meta Travelers.
Oh, yeah, you
guys. Those things look really cool. I got in on those. Of course, I have the Frazetta figures. So yeah, I have to find room for all this stuff, like, because I love it. I do love it. Like, I won't do something if I don't like it. I don't think. I haven't been faced with that yet. Like where like I've been given something, I'm like, I don't think this is for me. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think I can do anything with this. I don't collect the vinyl toys. Like the vinyl toys I send back, and I'm like, that's for you over there. Like,
yeah.
You don't need to send me one as part of the deal. You know what I mean? Because I just don't have, kind of a.
But you're not buying Black Series much or Marvel Legends or.
Not anymore. I got into vintage collection, which is, it's a whole other rabbit hole.
Actual vintage or vintage collection, modern vintage?
The vintage collection. So that scale, that 3 3/3, and I've been getting into, God help me, Joy Toy stuff, which is. Oof.
That's what I have in my hand in case I wanted to.
Oh, see, that's
Warhammer
Sunday. Though. Yeah. I'm not doing Warhammer because Warhammer is way too deep and way too like involved with lore that I don't need to involve myself with or my headspace with. So these guys are like, I don't know. I have like a bunch of like the battle in space or battle of the, I don't know, whatever it's called. It's like a sub series of Joy Toy. It's like their own IP. I'm good with that. Like that's cool. It's like the Mad Max.
Have you ever messed with a Joy Toy Warhammer figure?
Oh yeah. Oh well. Okay. So my friend Alberto, who's an incredible photographer and does like some great Warhammer stuff, Noir Kaiser effects. He's sick. I'll see if I can. I'll look him up. But he sent me one nicely. He's a super nice guy. He just sends me stuff. This is his page. If you want to bring it up, I'll show you some stuff he's done. Like he kills it with this stuff. Like it's his jam. You know what I mean? Like it's his jam.
What is it? Noir?
Noir Kaiser FX.
Yes.
Alberto Hernandez. So he sent me one, and he said it was like basically a first one's free type of thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, here you go. Like, shoot it and see if you like it. And I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Did you shoot it? Did you do a
I have not yet, but I will. I promised him that I would, so I will shoot it.
Look at this guy.
They're cool. I can't deny that they're not cool looking. They're really cool looking.
They are. People that are not paying attention to Joy Toy are missing one of the premier toy makers.
Dude, they're sick. They're sick. They're so good, and you can get vehicles that are incredible. The detail and the weathering on them, it's nuts. And you don't get a lot of stuff with them. That's the one thing. I would like some more hands and stuff like that. But
we got a super chat, Rob. Thank you very much. Talk about your wife having an about the toy photography. What does she feel about toy collecting in general? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Same.
No, I mean, she's cool. Yeah, she's cool with it. I don't put anything in the house. Like, I know I'm, I think it's, in a way it's great. Like if you've got a spouse or a partner who's like into it and like, but I don't know that I'd want, like we have a kind of traditional house. I don't know. I'm also kind of like into interior decor. So like, I don't know that I'd want my figures out on the shelf in the living room, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really conducive. I don't know. We have an office in the back. Like I'd put a detolf in there and put some stuff in there, and I have shit all over my desk. I mean, my desk is filled with stuff, but yeah, so she's cool with it. Like she's not like like the my wife is going to kill me thing, like another box. Although I think she sees the boxes and
Yeah.
I'm sure there's an eye roll there that I don't detect, but but she's cool with it. She knows that the hobby is paying for itself at this point. So
yeah.
it's cool.
You're not missing the mortgage payment. And I mean,
exactly. Yeah. If it was to that degree, I would be like, yeah, I'm not doing this.
bring up that green one, cool. the top middle.
Oh yeah,
that's my favorite.
I love
Lion.
This thing. I don't know what the hell this is. Lion, is that what it is?
Lionel Johnson. He's one of, and that figure is probably 9 inches tall. Like they're big.
If anything could suck me in, it would be this kind of green, medieval looking, paladin type thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, damn it. He sent me. If somebody was blue, I think I don't know. I don't know who they are, but like it was pretty impressive looking.
It's the Dark Angels. He's the leader of the Dark Angels faction. That's where you'll find.
Okay.
Yeah, blue is. I'm sure he sent you an ultramarine, which is the blue. The ones you see the most.
Possibly, yeah. I could be wrong about that. It's been a while. I have to look.
They are.
I feel terrible that I haven't shot it yet, but.
I mean, I think once these Ninja Turtle stuff hits here later in this year, there's going to be a lot of eyes opened to Joy Toy.
Okay, so I am desperately trying not to order those. I'm into the 5K. So I'm not, again, like we talked about this earlier, I wasn't into Turtles. Like I read the Eastman and Laird like comic books. Like I still have like some of the first prints of like, they're not in great shape, but like the comic books. Like I like those. But when the cartoon came out, I was just kind of beyond it. So I didn't really get into it. But those 5K toys.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm in. But now those Joy Toys look so good.
Yep.
And it's a thing like we talked about earlier, like I'm not a fan enough. I shouldn't be ordering these things, but they look so cool as toys. Like,
and they put Bebop and Rocksteady up too.
And they'll fit in the vehicles I've got. I've got vehicles. I can see the Ninja Turtles on some souped up dune buggy thing, like going through the desert.
Just one of your other Joy Toy mechs. They'll be able to
that a mech, yeah. And somebody else did mechs. Who did the mechs? The
Joy Toy has done a bunch of mechs.
No, 3-0 did like the turtle mechs.
Oh yes, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, yes.
Like if I don't have those, but if you got those and you put them, oh my god, come on.
Hey, what's up, David? There's
David, the man
himself. Yeah, I think those turtles are going to take it by storm. I also know in the world of the other side of the business, Joy Toy is looking for opportunities to penetrate the U.S. market more.
Yes, they are. Yep.
Because Darius obviously gets, you see his. I've got several buddies that get pretty sizable Joy Toy things for the channel, like shockingly sizable deliveries. If you 47 figures, my God, how do I get on that list?
The aforementioned Alberto Hernandez, Noir Kaiser Effects, has now an affiliation with a company, David's Toys, I think it is. And it's a little bit of a discount, but like he gets credit for it. So like, he sent me the link, and I just clicked on it. I'm like, okay. Because like with Big Bag Toy Store, it's like I look at it and go, I'll get that later. I'll put it in my cart, but I'm not gonna check out. With this, I'm like, 10% off.
Yeah.
So I ordered mechs. I've got mechs coming. I've got a whole squads coming. Like I'm doomed, man.
They're fantasy, man. There's the Warhammer stuff. You get fantasy.
So
the lore is incredibly deep. I don't know much about it other than the surface level stuff that a tabletop gamer would know.
Yeah.
And I've been watching these videos and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is super deep. I've been talked into. I ordered the game, and Darius and KJ and I are going to run there's a game coming out here in just a couple weeks on PlayStation.
Nice.
I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't glommed onto like Warcraft.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like diving into the fantasy. Like I was just going to say, like if they're looking for IPs, I would kind of love not an entire line, but to see like some of the iconic characters from Mythic Legions done in 3 3/4, because by Joy Toy, like a company like that, like because that's what they were originally going to be, and it would kind of be interesting to see them in that scale. It's just like a teaser thing. Like, hey, here's Otho at 3.75. You know what I mean? Like, not a whole line, not the whole thing, but just like some fun representation.
At Toylanta, when we did a panel there that I got to kind of moderate and do the Q&A, I knew they would not answer, but that's one of the questions I asked was, you make 1/12 scale figures. There is a lot of other stuff in the collectibles world. Is this license available if somebody wants to make premium format statues? You know, the way Mondo makes He-Man statues. If somebody wants to make one, you know, it's general. Oh, well, you know, anything's possible. We haven't ruled anything out. Which, you know, it can be the same answer for the thing we all know is coming versus the thing that truly will never come. But I think that would be fascinating. I especially think like Mondo level Motu, or even like I like PCS statues. I've got all the turtles from PCS.
Statues, Mondo, large. I would love to see when they did the Ziri and Thygar. Like, I'm like, you know what I want? Like, I mean, Thygar didn't really have anything, but Ziri had that gun. I'm like, I would buy that gun. I would buy the gun. You know what I mean? I would buy some swords. I would buy the Heavens brand. I would buy the Aether blade. Like, you know, replicate, like let a sword replica company do. I'm sure they would let them if they approach them, but I don't think they're going out and seeking that stuff out. But man, I would buy that stuff. I would buy helmets. I would buy some like little statue helmets, like little you know, 1/4 scale or something like that.
Yeah, like quarter bust type helmets. Yeah,
that'd be cool, man. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see that happen. Well, so all right, now we've gone through the whole journey. I think the questions about the wife are the interesting ones because you are kind of vocal about that. You go down to your little chamber and she doesn't know what happens, but
I'm in the dark. I don't get any sun. Yeah.
But she's coming to She's coming the whole time. Well, I guess Legion's Con, you're close enough. She can just pop in.
I told her, like, you're not gonna want to hang out, really. But then again, I don't know, like, what's gonna happen. Like, I have said before, like, I could end up in that club of, you know, guys whose wives are more popular than they are, because she's awesome. Like, she's personable. She's really great. You know, she doesn't do this stuff, and she's not going to get into sewing capes like that. You know what I mean? She's not going to have anything to do with this, I guarantee you. Besides, unless they need a marketing help, which they don't. But I told her to come for the day. I want to walk her around and show her what this is all about. You know what I mean? And like have her see like what this world is and like the customs that people make and just the personalities behind it. Because I think you get an idea that, you know, people, these are nerds. You know what I mean? Like she was watching that Wave release, and when Jeremy started to delve into the story of the goblins, you know, I could just see it on her face, and she was kind of like, "Wow, you guys are nerds." You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I know, but like it's cool. Like you watch Lord of the Rings, it's cool. You watch Rings of Power, you watch House of the Dragon, you're into it. It's the same kind of thing. Like it's just you have to use your imagination a little more than you do watching TV. So you know, yeah. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting.
You've talked a bit about like rules and having some things under control. One of the last things I like to talk about on this is what is a tip for, you know, we're all in a different space in our hobby, and you obviously get to work in it and monetize that. But that doesn't, I mean, I don't imagine you're making enough money to buy 15 Hot Toys every month if that's what you wanted to do. You know, that's not the way it.
I'm not making enough money to. It's not saying I don't, but.
But, you know, how do you make sure, you know, I had Jared on, I had Toy Bro on last week, and, you know, during the Comic-Con reveals, he sent out that tweet, and it just said, don't you feel like sometimes just throwing it all away? And, you know, first checked on him, made sure he's not in a bad, you know, you want to make sure he's okay. He's been relatively transparent. It's not been the easiest year for him. But, it's also just there's so much good stuff that you go, oh, what am I doing here? And I relate to him a lot because he and I collect very similarly and have a Snake Mountain and have a Cat's Lair coming and have a Turtle Lair coming and 14 Turtle Vans and all this stuff that you skip out on, you know, which is, and you're like, what am I doing? What am I really doing here? How do you prevent that feeling from showing up? Or for you too, how do you prevent what is fun, your hobby, but also pays the bills, from feeling too much like work, where you don't like the photography part and the collecting anymore.
Ooh, was it too difficult? As far as the overwhelming thing, I'm kind of that point. That's kind of what has put me on this path of like, do you even like this thing? You know what I mean? That you're collecting, like, like the Gomez, like that whole Rumble Society thing. Like, it's cool. There's some great looking figures, but like, I don't feel an attachment to this world. You know what I mean? Like this, they haven't really world built it. I know there's some attachment and there's some connectivity between some of the characters, but I don't feel it, and they don't really inspire me. So I'm kind of like shoving that stuff out. So that's where I kind of am with the collecting. It is a little overwhelming. Like right now, like I get stuff in, and I'm like, I don't have any place to put this. I have no place to put this. I have 3 Batmobiles, 6-scale Batmobiles in storage right now because I have no place to put them. That's crazy. So wow. I'm hoping that like I'm going to build this room out and have more room, but then at the same time I'm thinking like, what do you like, when does that get filled up? You know what I mean? How do you pull back to like have like, the whole point of this is to like kind of look forward to filling a spot. You know what I mean? And if all the spots are filled, are you done? Is that it?
Yeah.
Or do I just fill more space and find more space to fill? Or like, do I look at really what I have and go, do I really love this thing? Like, do I really, is there a connection here with this stuff for some reason or another? Yeah, and that's where I am right now. So I'm looking at that. I think a lot of people are like at that point because I think space is like an insane premium right now, and like stuff is just getting bigger and bigger. These HasLabs. I got the Ghost coming. I don't know where the Ghost is going to go in storage. I don't know where it's going to go. It doesn't have any. I don't have any room.
Yeah.
Stupid. So that's that. As far as tips.
Yeah.
I would say I admire people who like Mr. Stevie is one person that comes to mind. Like he collects nostalgia stuff, and like not everybody's into nostalgia like stuff, but like I kind of like the idea that he has a meaningful shelf that like this is stuff that means something, whether it's new, old, or a mix of new and old, which is usually his thing. Like it means something to him. You know what I mean? Like this is a place in time that I love this stuff, or I love that, or I love the design of this, or I loved, and it has a story, and I kind of like that because if you're going to bring people down here, it's not just like, oh, hey, it's Captain America. Oh, hey, it's Marty McFly. You know what I mean? It's like it means like you can tell a story about why you have that, which is kind of cool. And I don't have that right now, and I hope to get to that point. I think that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
So maybe that. And as far as like the work aspect of it, I mean, photography is work now. So in terms of that, I enjoy it. They asked me on Offworld yesterday if you still enjoy it. I'm like, there's some parts of it that are like work, and you're like, I'm not really looking forward to going down and shooting accessory shots for all these figures. It's not the most exciting thing to do, but like the fact that you get to do that in conjunction with like a cool environment shot, and then get to see people look at it and go, oh, I need that figure. You know what I mean? Like whether or not they say great shot or not, I don't care. Well, I do. I mean, it's nice when you hear that, but like it is nice, but like it's like cool. You did your job, and like that's fun. So it's still fun. It's still a lot of fun. I mean, you got to pinch yourself every once in a while and say, hey man, like you get to, at least for a lot of what you do, like take pictures of toys, which 8 years ago you thought was like you invented it and it was just going to be a little hobby. You know what I mean? And you didn't, and whatever.
Well, I guess that part of your protection is you won't take on jobs of things you don't like. So you're not just going, I'm just got to make the money today with this terrible thing.
I won't name names, but I've done some things, but I do find it a challenge to take something that I don't like. If I look at it and go, I don't think I would collect this, or I don't think I would buy this. There hasn't been really anything like that, but like, well, I mean, in terms of IP, I suppose there is like I have no attachment to this whatsoever, but the challenge to try and find a way to make it look cool to the people who do love it is kind of fun.
Yeah, sure.
I might take on stuff like that, like for somebody who's like trying to do like a startup, and it's like it's not my thing. like the vinyl stuff. Vinyl
Yeah.
stuff is not my thing. Like, I don't understand it. I don't know who's paying $150 for this, caterpillar. I don't get it. But like, it's kind of cool to try and make it look really interesting. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's part of it.
Yeah, I'd be curious. I don't know if you're in the inner workings, so the Horsemen certainly have sale. All these companies have sales numbers. I'm a data guy. That's what I have to do at work all the time. I'm a big data guy, and so I'm like, I would want to know what figures sell the best and compare it to my pictures and see, did that move, that kind of stuff. Like that would.
I would love to know that. I don't think they're going to tell me that, and I've never asked. I mean, they may tell me it in confidence. I'd have to keep it confident, obviously.
Yeah, or maybe just the ranking of which was the hiest sold figure or something. But yeah,
I always wanted to know, like, there was certain things where I took a picture of it that I didn't think it was like, probably going to be the hottest figure in the wave, but the picture looked really fucking good, and I want to know, like, did that sell really well, like better than you thought it was going to sell? Because a lot of people were commenting, like the gold skeleton. For instance, like the gold skeleton, like people are like, I need a dozen of these gold skeletons, and people were in the comments of the picture were like, I didn't think I needed this. I got to have this, whatever. And I'm like, maybe that was like kind of like a marginal, well, we'll do it, but it's not going to be. And like, suddenly it just took off. I don't know that stuff. I would love to. I would actually love to know that stuff.
Because you'd have to get every retailer, but there's no doubt you sold blue Hagnons. There's just no doubt. They were
post facto. It's not even in the wave, but like
they were sitting and sitting and sitting and
yeah, you're welcome, retailers. Thank you. Like, hire me.
Well, that's it's fascinating, right? I love hearing your story and your journey, and I think in my mind I had created some I was out there with my Polaroids at 6 taking pictures of figures, and it's just the whole time, but this is more of a
see, you invented it. You probably invented it.
Someone invented it. Just to hear that journey, I think is fascinating, and I mean, honestly, a little bit of encouraging to folks, right? Because
it should be, because anybody could do this. You gotta feel it. You gotta dedicate yourself a little bit to learning. If you're not innate, or if you're not already a photographer or have some sort of background. I mean, I know some people who are incredible photographers now who have background in like Ian Saunders has background in concert lighting, right? Like, so he knows how to light things. Like, he knows what makes good lighting, and he's a great photographer. So like, you've got that built in. But like, if you're starting from scratch, you've got to kind of go out and do those things and learn those things. Not necessarily in toy photography, but you can do it. I mean, you can do anything. Like, you can do anything.
I don't want to brush over I think the thing you talked about with having an attachment to the thing is so important, more than ever now, because we're in this big age of consumerism and buying because I'm supposed to buy and it's there and I buy it. I was a victim of this last year, and then I tried to correct it, and I need to do better. I had all these customs, some of which are not, as you know, they're not the cheapest thing to get from some of our premier artists that we have in the community. And they're just shoved in there with everything else.
I know.
Yeah.
Maverick.
Yeah.
I can say.
And you go, well, what am I doing? Like, I have this custom figure with a $20 builder with very little paint on it, just in an army row. And I'm like, okay, I got to rethink all of this.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I may not buy the builder and play with it, but it's a different thing than what I want to display.
Right.
And, I see Ace from Ramen Toys in there, and I think, a lot of the things I buy from them are because I have this unique nostalgia to certain things, but also because I got to meet Ace a few times and have a connection. And, there's things that I buy that I want to display because of who I bought them from and that interaction. Because look, anything you put on your wall is reminding you of something. It's doing something. You've put it on your wall or on your shelf or whatever to make you go, oh yeah, remember when this.
Yep.
And it's real easy to fall into the complete the wave, complete the build a figure, whatever trap. Mm-hmm. Because that's what the company's job is to get us to do.
Of course.
What the job is. Very unrelated, but the same mental side. It's hard. We've got a teenager, and you're trying to work responsible phone usage, and you're like, why is it so hard to get them to put the phone down? And I had this realization a couple months ago. I'm like, well, because literally the smartest people in the world are working at these companies trying to make it where you never put it down. That's my opponent.
That's it. That is the equivalent of the 80s commercial, like products that were cartoons that were selling products. Like that's what you're selling. You're selling a product by a cartoon. You're selling products. You're selling, advertising via a streaming app or whatever, or
they want eye time. That's what they want.
Yeah, you got to check yourself. Definitely, you got to check yourself. I mean, that's like the bottom line, because that's where I am like right now. Like you can get caught up in it. And I think over the last 10, 12 years, this industry has been in that realm. And it's not like that there aren't people who are deserving of like you buying, like you want almost everything, but like, does it mean something to you? Maybe a line does, like Mythic Legions, but maybe Cosmic Legions doesn't. And just because you feel like the Four Horsemen are putting it out, I've got to get Cosmic Legions. You should buy Cosmic Legions. But maybe you don't need that. Maybe you don't need that. Maybe you don't need this over here. Maybe you don't need every character from The Mandalorian. You know what I mean? Like maybe just The Mandalorian is enough of a representation of your love of the show. And like, that's good. You're good enough. Or maybe you just love a show and you don't need a figure from it.
Yeah, you just enjoy it.
You could just love the show, and like nobody comes down here to get proof that if I tell you I love The Walking Dead, do you need to see Walking Dead figures on my shelf for me to prove to you that I love The Walking Dead?
Yeah,
or whatever.
Well, I mean, even as a company, I think a lot of companies would say this publicly, that if you're going to pick and choose, and that's the way that enables you to be a consistent collector with them, they appreciate the brand loyalty and would rather you do that than try to buy it all and then fall off altogether.
Absolutely. Yep. Feel overwhelmed. I don't have any more room for anything. Like, just buy what you like. If you like vampires, buy the vampires. If you like skeletons, buy the skeletons. You don't have to get everything.
That's true. So the final thing we're going to talk about as we go is Ace has got there. It's why the conventions are important. I couldn't believe I walk in and there's Ace in Augusta, Georgia. I'm like, that is a long plane ride away. And so we've got Legions Con coming up. That's, we'll see each other there in a couple months. And that is so much of what all this is that connection that you get to do at a convention. So you're obviously busy because you've got whatever is going to happen there. You're a part of in some way, shape, or form. But with this Legions Con, do you have anything you're uniquely excited for that is disclosable, or is it, the normal, here come the people type of stuff?
I know some things that are happening, so yeah, I'm excited for those. I think it's going to be wild, man. I think this is going to be the fact that they've moved people into the hallway at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's people like Wade coming, and Brutal Realms is funded now, and they're coming. It's going to be. You say it every year, but I mean, it's going to be bigger than ever, and it's going to be incredible. I personally have some stuff that I'm excited about. I'm going to give you a quick. This is nobody's seen this really. Ooh, I'm going to give you a very quick preview, and you can guess what. I don't know if you're me or not.
Not that. Okay, I'll make it.
Hang on. You make me small.
Exit so.
Okay. Boop. Okay. That's something we don't know what that is.
Okay.
But I have something that's coming that's kind of like officially sanctioned, sort of licensed, which is going to be fun.
That's cool.
Fun product. In addition to the calendars and stuff like that. But that show is all about seeing people and hanging out. And I think it's going to be, there's more people to hang out this year. There's more people bringing people into the fold. People are stepping up their game left and right, and it's going to be nuts, man. I can't.
Well, I will. So at the end of the show, I like to announce my guest for next week, but this is very thematic. So next week I'll be at Dragon Con, so I've had to pre-record. I did that already today, and that guest is Robo. And
sweet.
So Robo is on with me next Sunday, and in that conversation, we've tried to convince him he should come to Legions Con. I think it is a possibility that we'll get Robo up to Legions Con.
I have tried to tell him to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I hope
he actually brought it up, which surprised me. And I said, well, hey, let's talk about that. Because I think you'd have a blast. I just,
It's only Arkansas. You're only coming from Arkansas. It's not that far. It's not that bad.
Yeah. So, it's cool that Wade's going to be there.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome, I think, if Robo got to come up and be a part. Sure. So I'm very much looking forward to it. I think it was within an hour we were sitting in the pub having dinner, getting there.
I know. You and I were hanging out already.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll be there Wednesday. If you're there Wednesday, we'll be doing the same thing.
I will be. I thought you might know this better than me. So I was originally going to come up even maybe Monday or Tuesday, and then I realized I'm like, oh, this is election day. Is that Tuesday?
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder what that's going to be like at Legions Con. And then I realized it's never happened because Legions Con has not existed on a year when there was a presidential election before.
Correct. Yeah. Or has it not?
No, because 2020 there was no Legions Con. In 2016
that's
it didn't
true.
exist.
Online, it was online. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's true.
Because I was surprised at first. I'm like, oh, why did we pick that date? Right. I'm like, oh, probably wasn't even thought about. Like,
right.
So I don't know if I'm going to come up Tuesday or not.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely be there by Wednesday.
Cool.
Either way, come up Wednesday morning.
Cool.
Be a good time. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I know we went long. I'm sorry for that, but it's a great conversation.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed getting
to do some more shows on psychology and
I would love to do that.
AI and things like that.
Yeah, because we didn't get into that, but you showed us a little bit about that at Intern last year, the way the AI is in Photoshop. I'd love to get into that stuff
for sure.
But so you got? Are you streaming? Are you on tomorrow night with the guys?
So tomorrow night tomorrow night is not Legion's Lounge a week from Monday, but tomorrow night I may be getting finally to the June version of Toy Photo Bomb, which is best of the month with Alex Richardson. We've had he was down in Houston and he had some issues with his internet after the storms and stuff, so we had to delay it, and we've been playing tag trying to get a day that we can both do it. So I think we can both do it tomorrow, so I think we'll be on for that tomorrow, which is a good show. Like if you're into toy photography, this is great stuff. Like it's all just praise and fantastic photography and new people to follow, so check it out.
Yeah, if you don't watch Photobomb, I love that show because it's like you've curated Instagram and shown us
kind of
try
to anyway.
You get to learn new followers, but also sometimes you guys encounter shots that you both go, whoever is your guest at the time, go, look at that, how did they pull that off? And it becomes
it's learning. We talk a little bit about how something might have been created or what the technique used or why it makes it good. So there is learning in there as well. If you're interested in toy photography, there is learning and looking at other people's work and dissecting it and figuring out how it was done. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and you'll have Road to Legions Con stuff, I'm sure, here and there on.
Yeah, we're on the road to Legions Con already. I got to line up.
You had that last week. I was like, really? What? Where are we?
We only have 6 episodes, you know what I mean? Because we're every other week. Sure. So it's 6 episodes. We got to get everybody on there. So it's Road to Legions Con, man.
Yeah, I was on that last year. It was fun. I'm certainly happy to do it again if you need someone.
And what Rob is saying, we may do some more stuff. We may have some more
bonus
extra episods for sure. Yeah, because there is a lot of stuff to cover. So.
Yeah, well, guys, go check out Shooting the Shelf. They're live now, I'm sure. If you're on here, you can go see Jesse and Curtis. I don't remember who their guest is, but it's a good watch, too, for your Sunday evening. Again, pre-recorded with Robo next week, which should be a lot of fun. It's a very good conversation. It's an interesting conversation.
I love that dude.
Yeah, he's such a good guy, and learned a lot about, again, growing up, his childhood and that stuff that, you don't hear as much from those folks, so. Yeah. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Thank you, chat. We will see you all down the road somewhere where both of us are. Till next time.